what are your takes on this landscape? I mean, price for the customer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I was going to say price gets tricky for this panel up here, right? I think true price is whether it costs $1, $2, $3, or $4 for a max bet. But I think what you're referring to is the slot hold,
right.
And you know, I actually think the trend has consistently pushed the other way, and I think it's you know, when you go from a 6% hold or an 8% hold to a 10% hold, I understand some of the math behind it and some of the theories, and I understand it more 15 years ago when there were capacity constraints on a slot floor. Taking the hold from 6 to 8% would produce incremental revenue. We don't have capacity constraints a whole lot in this industry. There are certain pockets and certain casinos here and there, but unless you're capacity constrained, taking hold from 6 to 8 to 10, it's just taking people's money faster. And I think that's hurting the experience. I truly believe that. We're closing casinos around the country for the first time ever. I've been in the industry 12 or 13 years, and we're seeing casinos close. We certainly don't have those capacity constraints. I think you know, what's happening from a whole perspective is not helpful, and it's been hurting the industry a little bit, in my opinion. I've seen the math, and I understand when a consumer sits down and they play, there's huge variability with their experience versus the theoretical hold of the machine. I get that math. But that person comes 40 times a year in many US markets. So they will get half the time, or 40% of they will get less time playing as you take up the hold. That's not as fun. So they're gonna go to the blow dry bars, and they're gonna go to the spa, and they're gonna choose other forms, they're gonna go to the movies. They'll choose other forms of entertainment, and I think we just need to be careful with that. We're in a different world than we were 10, 15, 20 years ago, and capacity constraints, again, don't exist like they used to, and I think we need to give players a better, longer experience, and it can't be a 90-day test. It's gotta be a 5-year test. That's...
Any other takes? Well said.
100% agree. You know, you've got to think about long term. When you get into the world of digital, you start to think about lifetime value. Yeah, not more value in the next 30 minutes. And 100% agree. We've got to make sure that we keep players satisfied, enjoying the experience, knowing what's going on, and prepared to come back for more. And as part of our job is to work with our operator partners and convince them that's the right economic model.
We're going to add something.
I think time on device is an important factor. We have to give players more time to enjoy what they're doing and not be too greedy on the offering. Especially as we see in the online gaming space, the return to players is much, much higher than what usually in the casino environment is the case. So we have to be aware that players, once they have that choice and can make that choice, like in other jurisdictions, they will do it.